Well, dear students, welcome back to another lecture of writing process. In this lecture, we're going to talk about writing process. After this lecture, you will be able to get to know about the writing process, how you are going to write, and how you can compose your own writing. Okay, there are five basically stages of writing. The very first stage is pre-writing, the second is drafting, and third is revising, and then we have editing, and lastly we have is publishing. Okay, let's begin with a formal study of pre-writing. The key to a great paper is in the planning. Before you sit down to write something, you need to figure out what you're going to write about. Most of us start with a topic and then decide what we have to say about this topic. For an essay, you might generate a working thesis or a main idea that you would like to explore and then start collecting information and ideas that relate to that idea. Pre-reading is in fact, you just need to think of the idea, and I would really prefer that when you just plan a topic that you want to write on this particular topic, you just need to brainstorm. Once you brainstorm about the topic, you get to know a lot of other supporting details. You just organize that, and you just sum up everything in a single paragraph, and then you can generate different writings. Okay, how can you generate different ideas? That this is the very first thing that you need to do is it is you need free writing, or you can use a journal. Brainstorms your likes and dislikes, things, people, place, and hobbies that are important to you. Then you can review assignments and discussion questions, and you can add notes. Okay, use graphic organizers. You can participate in class or small group discussions, talk out ideas, others, and you can determine WH questions, and you can determine what you already know and what you still need to learn. Okay, ways to plan your writing. You can create a cluster, you can create a diagram or a web, you can create a storyboard, you can make an outline, you can identify pros and cons, you can list supporting arguments, you can sort, organize note cards by topic. Okay, the second step is drafting. Once you have plan out your ideas, the next step is to start drafting or writing. As you write, keep referring back to your notes and then the plan that you determined in stage one. But you don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to change the plan when needed. During the drafting stage, you should concentrate on getting your ideas on paper, organizing your information logically, and developing your topic with enough detail for your audience and purpose. Now, again, the second stage is drafting. You can, just it is in fact a rough writing when you just decide a topic, when you just plan the topic, you can just start rough writing. But this is not only important that you have once the topic or once the supporting the detail that you have just planned and you just stick to that. No, that's not only important, you can just change. I mean, if some new ideas are coming, you can just change that, no problem. As you work, keep the following things in mind. Okay, drafts are for the writer. Our brain processes information as we write things down. You'll find making yourself connections and discovering new ideas as you're writing your first drafts. When this happens, you should go back to the planning stage. That was stage one, to work with the new ideas. You may even need to change your thesis or the angle you were taking on the topic. Many writers wait to write the introduction until they have finished the body of the paper. Okay, and that I also appreciate that way. I mean, similarly, this happens in the research articles. I mean, when you are writing your thesis or dissertation, the good way is to write your introduction once you have finished with the other content of the writing. Drafts are not perfect. really. Because you are really drafting for yourself to understand your ideas and put them into words, you might be unhappy with your early results. Don't agonize over every word and sentence because you will give yourself writer's block. You'll never send off a draft to your audience without at least some sort of revision or at least editing. Just get some words down on the paper, even if they sound silly or awkward. You can always go back and fix it later. That's what revision is for. Okay. Now, drafting takes time, of course. It is a complicated process. As the time you should allow yourself for drafting as you discover new ideas and connections, you need the time to incorporate them into your plan. Don't procrastinate and don't feel that you have to finish your whole paper in one sitting. Of course, you need to give it a time, you need to give it a bit, a revision so that it gets copied, it gets imitated, and it gets ready for the audience to read. The third stage is revising. Revision works best when you have some time to let your writing set. You will be better able to look at your writing with the reader's eye if you can put it aside for a day or two before working on it again. If drafting is for the writer, revision is for the reader. During revision, you consider your writing from your audience point of view. In fact, to revise means literally to re see or re look at your writing, which is really important, which is really mandatory. You may need to change the order of your information, expand certain sections, or cut details in others. Often you need to go back to the drafting stage and reword parts of your paper. Revising is not just editing, save the spelling, grammar, and the sentence fixes for later. Most writers find it helpful to have someone else read their writing thesis statement. A reader who's unfamiliar with your document can help you identify which parts are working and which parts are still unclear. Okay, revising is in fact for the audience, revising for purpose. Do not revise for any other, for superfluous reasons. Revise for form, and then you have to revise for your own self. Okay, now the fourth stage is editing, and during the editing stage, we check the following things. We check for grammar, we check sentence structure, we check diction, word choice, we check for punctuation, we check capitalization, spelling, citation, and document format. And last stage we do have is final writing or the publishing. Publishing writing is communication. If you have written something, you must have intended for someone to read, even if the person is only for yourself, is only yourself. When you publish a document, you are releasing it to the public for others to read. Not all of your writing will be taken through the publishing stage, but even turning a paper into your teacher's constitutes publishing. Ways to publish your writing include turning a paper to your teacher, entering an essay contest, sending a letter to the editor, writing for your school newspaper, yearbook, or a literary magazine, posting a piece of writing on the internet, and similarly, in second last, we have writing a letter to a public official company and submitting your work to a young writers magazine. That's all for the writing. And how can you improve your writing with the help of technology? There are different websites. You can use Edmondo, you can use, Grammarly, you can, Writing Pro, you can use Bold Writing. These are different websites that you can use in order to improve your writing skills. That's all. Thank you so very much. If you have any question, you can just ask me. Thank you. God bless everyone. Thank you.